Hello crafters, I'm Jan B and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this phone holder. It stands on your desk, and what I've done for the back is I've made it so that it has a post-it note and also a calendar. The pen that I have here is also a stylus pen, so I can use that for doing texts on my phone. It's also a pen, so if I'm on the phone and I want to take a message, I have my notepad there, and if I need to sort out a date, I've got that. So it's a multitasking thingy, phone holder, and I'm going to show you how I made it. I have done something similar to this previously, and that was this one, which was a post-it note holder, and I had little pens in there, and on the back I'd just done a little pouch that I'd put some little wallet of postage stamps in there, but I did say that you could get a business card or a gift card in there. So really I've combined that idea with this, and I have recently been having this on my desk without the post-it note, and I've just been putting my phone in like that. So I'm going to make sure that I've got one for every room in the house so that I never lose my phone again. Half the time I only find my phone when it rings. Sometimes I have to phone my phone to find out exactly where it is. Still, there we go. Right, I'm going to start off by telling you the card pieces that we're going to be needing. I'm using Highland Heather, and the designer series paper is Petal Promenade. I'll show you what's left of this sheet. It's like onyx, really, really beautiful, and it's on the back of that one. I've got some fabulous designs in this pack, but I thought it was ideal. I want to put some flowers on it for my decorations there, so let's find out what it's going to look like. So what you need is, first of all, the big piece of cardstock measures 5 3/4 inches by 12 inches, which is 14.6 by, and I didn't write down what the 30 is, what the 12 is. I think it's about 30.5, isn't it? I'm sorry, can you check on that one for me, please? The other piece you need is also 5 3/4, but that measures 3 inches, and that is 14.6 by 7.5. Oh, so that must be 4 times that, which is 30. Okay, 30 centimetres. So you also need 2 pieces of designer series paper, which measure 3 3/8 inches by 3 5/8 inches, which is 8.6 by 9.2 centimetres, and then 2 more pieces which measure 1 7/8 inches by 3 5/8 inches, which is 4.75 by 9.2, and you also need some Whisper White, some scraps for, I've done 2 twigs of the leafy things, and I've done 3 small flowers and a large flower. I didn't decorate the back because there's hardly any room, although I could have done the same there as I did there. I might go back and do that. But so the first thing I am going to do is the scoring. So I'm going to get my scoreboard. Let's just move this right out of the way for the time being. Right. Now I'm going to do the small piece first, and what we are going to do, the easy one on this, is we are going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch on 3 sides. If you start off with your cardstock this way, you can do your 3 sides round. What you need is scores on the 2 short sides and 1 long side. This one you want plain. Okay, so if you've, as I say, put it in horizontally, you've got 1/2, 1, 1/2, 1, half 1, and in metric that is 1.25 by 2.5 centimetres. Okay, so no scoring along this side. Now on this one, if you do the short side first, only because I've written my instructions that way, we are going to score at half and, what did I say for that? Told you wrong on that, didn't I? Because I said 1.25 and that's not right. That's 1.5 by 3 all the way round centimetres. 1.5 centimetres, 3 centimetres, because that's what we're going to do here. Half an inch and 1 inch, which is 1.5 and 3 centimetres. And then on this side we're going to do 4 3/4 inches and 5 1/4 inches, which is 27.5 by 29 centimetres. So 4 3/4 and 5 1/4. And then if you turn it, oh no, there's that one. If you turn it horizontally, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 6 measurements, so I'm going to give the inches first and then I will come back and do the metric. So on this one we are going to do 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 6 inches, 9.5 inches, 10.5 inches and 11.5 inches. And centimetres, that is 5 centimetres, 6.5 centimetres, 15.5 centimetres, 24.5 centimetres, 26.75 centimetres, 29 centimetres. Okay, so that's all the scoring we need to do. So if I move the scoreboard away, let's move that right out of the way. So we'll do our cutting first. I am going to use my big scissors and my small scissors. Right, I'm going to start on this piece first. So I've got all the score lines there, there and there. So the first one I'm going to do is I am going to cut on the second score line in, and I'm going up to the second score line, and I'm going to do the same here. I'm going into the second score line and cutting up to the second score line. Now I am going to cut on this one, I am going to cut the straight line on this side so the score bit goes over there, and when I cut on here I'm going to cut the straight line on this side so the score part goes onto that bit. Okay, so one straight line up to the score line and one straight line up to the score line on there. So sideways I don't have any score lines on the edges here. Now I'm going to cut up on the first score line, and it doesn't matter where you cut on this, and then we're going to cut off here and we are going to go above the second score line and cut a nice straight line. So all the score lines are down here and we're going to cut them off. Didn't cut that one quite far enough. There we go. So all the score lines are on that bit there. Now I'm going to cut this piece off, this little tab, and again I'm cutting above the score line so the score drops off, and now I'm going to do some miters, again cutting the score lines off, and a miter on that side. You probably won't have any score lines on that one because you would have cut it off when you did that one. Okay, So that's what you're finishing up with, like. Okay, now we're going to do the same this side in reverse. So we're going to cut up the first score line, and it doesn't really matter where you go as long as you cut in a straight line. Then we're going to turn it, and we're going to cut those two small squares off, and we're going to cut the scoring off with it. So that's all the score lines. Now we're going to cut this little square off here, and again cut the scores off, and then we're going to do a mitre here, again cut the score line off, and then a mitre there. If you get the impression that I don't like score lines, you're right. If we're not using them, then they're no good to man nor beast. Okay, so that's what you should finish up like. Or at least your piece of cardstock should finish up looking like that. So now we are going to come to this piece. Now on this one, on this end you should have the 1/2 inch score part, the 1 inch score part and the 1 inch score part, and the end that we want, this is the 2 inches. Okay, and then we got 1/2 inch in the middle. So what we're going to do is we are going to come in to the second score line, and we're going to cut up to the first score line. And again, going on about straight lines, we want the straight line this side of the score line. Okay, so it's up to the second, and I've left the score line on that bit there. Now I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this score line. I'm coming into the second score line, and I'm going to cut up to that score line, but I'm going to cut the score off so it's on that bit up there. Okay, so what I am going to do now, yep, that's all right, I am going to cut off all of these here. I don't know if you can, yes you can, these 1/2 inch and 1 inch there, and the 1/2 inch and 1 inch there. We are going to cut that complete strip off. Now I don't know whether it's possible to use your scoreboard, your trimmer for this, but I thought I'd bring it over and see whether it's easy or easier to use scissors. The thing is, we want to cut off the actual score line there. So if we try from here, push that up there. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm lining up the actual score line, and I'm making the edge of it against the edge of this cutting line. You can't see me, can you? Right, let's try that bit again. In fact, this time let me use my paper piercer. Okay, so that's my score line, and I'm trying to line up that edge of the score line against the cutting edge there. The thing is, I do want to cut off the actual score line. Just double check I've got this the right way round. Yep, that looks as if it'll do a good job. Okay, so I have lined that up at 4 3/4. Let me make a note of that. Now I'm going to come down as far as my cut line. I am going to stop a little bit short because I'd rather, I'd rather cut that last little bit off, but that's a really nice straight line, and that is all the score line on there as well, so that is really good. So I wonder if I now I want the score line on this side. So I wonder if I can do that again. So oh yeah, I should do, shouldn't I? Because it's a 1 inch score line. Oh, you bird brain. Of course it is. Right, okay. I'm doing it so that I'm covering up the dark line on the 1. And I'm going to cut just a little bit, just to make sure. Could go over a tad more. And of course, the reason that one worked at 4 3/4 is because that was a score line too, wasn't it? Well, yes, 4 3/4. Okay. Again, I think I'm going to try and stop a little bit short, and this is 9.5 inches. Oh, you can feel when you, you can feel when you hit the cut piece. So there we go. That is really nice. I think possibly I've left an absolute tad of the score line, but it's doubtful. And it looks brilliant, so I'm happy with that. If you don't want to chance it, just take your scissors and cut all the way up that score line and cut it so that the score line actually comes off. Surprise myself at times. Right, okay, now this bit here, let's go back. And again, like we did with that first one, we're going to go back to the first score line. It doesn't matter where you cut in that score line, but you're going to cut up to the second score line. And then you're going to cut this one off. No, you're not. Sure, you're cutting this one off. Yes, that's right, just cut that one off. And then mitre that side, and then mitre that side. So you've effectively got rid of all the score lines on that one as well. And we're going to do the same to this side. We are going to cut up the first score line. Doesn't really matter where you cut, but go up to the second score line and then cut the first square off and all the score lines with it. There we go. It doesn't matter if you cut it a bit short. And then a little mitre and a little mitre. There we go. So that's all our rubbish. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to adhere my designer series paper. So the first one is I'm going to do that one there. I just find this is a bit easier to do it when I'm working on a flat piece of cardstock rather than a piece that I've already put 2 holder parts on there. Okay, so there's that one. No right or wrong way with this design. Now that will be folding up that way, so I'm now going to put one of the big pieces and the other big piece there. This is a beautiful colour, this Highland Heather. Really beautiful. Now this one I'm going to put there. This piece is quite a plain piece, but then that's part of the beauty of onyx, all the variation you get with it. There we go, so that's that. And then the last piece I'm going to put on here. This saves quite a lot of fighting. You can use snail for this if you want to, this bit. Right, so now we will work on this piece first, and we need to fold our score lines. So what we need to do is, with the aid of our bone folder, we're going to fold this one up, the next one up, and as you're going, do make sure that you're lining up nice and straight all the time. Now the next one we are going to fold backwards, and then this one we are going to fold upwards, and this one is going to come backwards, and then this one is going to come up. So hopefully what will happen is that one will come round, that one, yep, that's it, that's good. Right, so let's do the sideways. So we'll fold these in. Again, just make sure all your edges line up nicely. There we go. Now we are going to use some tear and tape to put down here and here. I checked back on the previous project that I did, and I used tear and tape on that, and it's still holding together really, really well. Our tear and tape, I think personally, is much stronger than the regular double-sided tape. Well, certainly the regular double-sided tape that I've been buying. But then by Stampin' Up and you buy quality, don't you? Okay, so that's going to be going like that, and then this one, so I want a piece on here as well. Okay, so can you see all the whole length now? So you got the two bits like that. I just noticed that my screen in front of me is upside down. I wonder why that is, because this is down this end. Oh, never mind, I probably shouldn't be looking at that then, otherwise I will get very confused. I struggle with my left and right as it is anyway. Right, okay, so this is going to be, the tear and tape here, it's going to be on the same side as this tear and tape, which is on the same side as these two large pieces of Designer Series paper. And I am going to adhere this near the fold, but I'm still going to leave myself a gap there. And the reason I say to leave a gap is if your folds are a fraction of an inch out, when you adhere this down, that will allow you a bit of space. Otherwise, if it's right against the edge and you are a tad out, then you'll have a lot of sticky showing. Okay, so we're going to be doing that. So the first thing with, in fact, let's carry on using tear and tape, shall we? So we need a little bit on there. I was going to use Tombow here. But having just sung the praises of tear and tape, I'm going to stick with it. Right, so you need to take these little pieces off. You may want to do one piece at a time. I don't think it's too difficult to do them both. And just make sure you don't have any sticky glue going over the top there. Otherwise it will make inside sticky. So what we need to do is to fold this piece so that it sticks over that, but you need to make sure you get a nice straight box edge there. Okay, so just line them up beautifully. That's it. Okay, and I've got that squashed down on the inside there. Now I'm going to do the same on this side. Make sure that lines up beautifully and press the two together. Okay, so give that a press with the bone folder and that with the bone folder. When you make this, you could fold these pieces in and stick them on that way and then put that on top so you can't see these. But I find it much easier if you wrap those flaps round the edge. Although you can still see them there, they are hidden on the inside, but it is so much easier to get a nice straight edge there, to get a really nice straight box. Okay, so I prefer to do it this way round. So if we take the white backing off, the white backing off there, make sure you've got a post-it notepad handy, or even your phone, although I don't recommend your phone because they are quite heavy to concentrate on holding when you're trying to do this. At least with the post-it pad it's quite easy. So if you just put that in there, and that's just to help you have some shape. And then on one side, as you can see, I do tend to hold on to mine to save it from flopping about. And I make sure that that fold line is going straight along this line, all the way along. Okay, and that is what your post-it pad is there for. Okay, now you've done that side, move along to the other side. Okay, make sure the crease goes along that line. There we go. Okay, so one phone should fit in there. Okay, so that's all right. Now, I don't think I did that bit next. Let's do our little box here and do our folding. So all of these need to be folded inwards. Again, make sure you line up the edges. Right, so we're going to put some tear and tape on those little tabs again. So when we do that, and again I like to wrap that one around, so this is the only one that gets stuck onto the back. So we put some tear and tape on that, again near the top but not right up against the fold. And then we will be wrapping that around, so we need on here and on here. So it'll be like the box is cuddling onto the main part. I always try and find the easiest way to do anything, and to me this is. Now it could be argued that you don't really need this piece at the bottom, or at least you don't need to adhere that bit at the bottom, because it's really not going to go anywhere. But for me it's just an added bit of strength really. So take the two little pieces off and do exactly what we did last time. Just make nice straight box edge there. So that's that one, and then nice and straight again for that one. Hold on. Right, now you can stick. Right, so these two are going to be wrapping around the outside. This one's going to be adhering to the actual back. We take the big one off, bring this over. So what we want is for this to adhere along that score line, but we want it just a tad above it because it's going to be folding under. So you want this fold parallel to that fold. And if you just hold it like that, then you can make sure the two line up. They should both be the same width, so that shouldn't be a problem. There we go. Now I'm going to just use my bone folder to give that a bit of pressure. Okay, so that is level across there. Okay, so now I need this and this to grab onto here. So again, I'm going to use my post-it note, take this off, take this off. I'll take them both off at the same time. There we go. Right, now to give this a bit of support while I'm trying to get this lined up properly. And again, I'm getting that crease along there so it hugs nice and tight. Okay. So that one's okay. Let's move the post-it note along. And then we can fold this over, make sure that is all lined up nice and straight. Okay, so now, whoops, put my box like that, and I'm just making sure I've got a nice bit of pressure there on the tear and tape. Okay, so all we need to do now for putting the box together is taking the long piece off, and if you fold those two up like a little concertina, okay, like that. And you may find it easier just to hold that down with your piercing tool and then just bringing this down on top. Do it gradually just to make sure that you know that you are actually lining up. And that's it. Now before you try squashing this one down, put your post-it pad in there. No, in you go. And then put some pressure. Move that along. Give it some pressure. Okay. And there you go. There's your post-it note holder come phone holder. So what do you think of that then? Quite easy, isn't it, really? So all we need to do now is to decorate it if you decide you want it decorated. This is what this one looked like. So yes, I'm going to decorate mine. I'm going to do the same as what I've done here. So let's move these out. We'll do the stamping first. My stamp set is called First Frost. I'm going to do one of those, 3 of those and 2 of those. The dies are called Frosted Bouquet, and I am going to be using that one. That's for 2 the same, which is always useful. And that one, I need 2 of those, 1 of those, 3 of those. Okay, so that's going to be 2 runs through the Big Shot. And that's what they look like on the once they're actually die cut. Okay. Available in the Christmas catalogue as a bundle, so you can save 10%, which is always worth having. 10% you can spend on something else. Sitting here trying to work out which way this ink pad opens up. I've got half and half new ones, half of the old ones, and I'm so easily confused. Right, so I want 2 of these. In fact, no, I don't need to stamp 2, do I? Because I've got one here that's tranquil tied. Okay, so I only need to do 1 of these. This is a beautiful stamp set because it's all shaded for you. So there's that one, and I want 1 of these. Oops, I don't want it in tranquil tide. So let's have this one. Okay, that is what I've done up there. So that's, and I'd stamped off there to see how light it would come up, and for this one I think it came up too light. So now I need the little one, and I want 3 of these. At first, when I saw that little line all around the edge there, I thought it was my lousy stamping and I was getting the edge of the stamp, but it isn't. That's the way the stamp is meant to be. Okay, so that's all I need for my stamping. Let's clear a space for the Big Shot to come up. Get rid of that. Right, I have my magnetic platform. I'm going to just cut these separately because sometimes the magnets make the little ones jump. And those ones I will save for another project sometime, so they can go over with those. two of these to start off with. One of these. On the front of the card, what I did with this sprig of leaves, because I wanted them to go across the front, I didn't want that arrow to be visible, so I cut them in half in the middle there. I'll show you what I mean. I'll do it. Yep, I think that's okay. It's quite funny, you get a really different view when you're sitting down looking at these, because this is the kind of thing that I normally do standing up. Where's the other one? Is that all right? Let me tip that, I can't see it. I think so. Just a little bit away. Right, now one of the big ones. And that, I think, is that way round. Oops, move the paper a bit. Let's try that one again. If you do find your magnets jump a bit like that, it's so much easier just move your paper in the direction that the magnet jumped. Right, let's see what we get if we do this. Is that one? That one. Oh, these have all cut out lovely. Very pleased. This one. Oops. Can you see how the bottom there, it looks like an arrow? That's the bit that I don't like. Right, how do you go this way? Yep, I think that's okay. There we go, that's good. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Pop those on there. Right, so it doesn't matter which one you have as your back or the front. I am just doing it that way round because that was, I consider this one to be the front. That's the one that is part of the actual framework. This is the box that we actually adhered on. So that to me is the back. Right, now where did I cut this? Okay, you may not be as fussy as I am, so don't worry about this. But it's where that leaf there, that one, and the one opposite, that's the bit I cut. Right, so I'll cut it and then I'll bring it back up again to show you. Just make sure you don't have any pointed bits. That is a sure giveaway that you've done some cutting. I've just got one little bit there. Come on, it's not that little. Alright, that's better. Okay. So that is a cut end. And I haven't tidied this one up yet, but that is the end it came off. Okay. See, that's going to be much better at the bottom than having that, so I can now put them like that and cover that bit up. Okay. Right, so I don't really need to tidy it up because that's going to be covered up anyway, but I'm afraid I do prefer to tidy it up. I'm going to use my silicone mat and I'm going to use Tombow. And I'm just going to adhere these straight across the centre. The big flower I'm going to put with glue, but the little ones I'm going to put on dimensionals. Right, just pop that out. Right, so I'm just going to pop that like that. So it comes just to the edge, and I'm going to do the same with this one. It will overlap slightly, which is quite nice because then I put the big flower over it, but just put glue on the centre, so it gives it that little bit of height rather than trying to stick it down and have it plastered flat against here. Okay, so you see how that's overlapping? So that's 2 layers, and my big flower is going to go on top, but just with a bit of glue in the centre. Okay, pop that there, just give that a squeeze. And then for the other 2, I'm going to use dimensionals. And what I did for those was I took 1 large dimensional each and I put them at the side of the big flower. Then as long as I covered the dimensional up, I could put the flower wherever I wanted it to go. Okay, so there's that one, let's put that away. And then this one, turn this a different way, makes it look like a totally different flower. Okay, now I've got one to come down here. I don't think I finished up with a knot. Yes, I did. Okay, this is a half of one that I'd already cut earlier, so I might as well use this. And I'm going to adhere that in there. Right, on that one I just brought it straight up to the top. And very gently I'm going to put my bone folder on it. In fact, if I put my fingers the other side, that will give it a nice little bit of pressure. That's it. And I think the flower, I glued that down, didn't I? Yes. So again, any direction that I want it to go in. But I'm just going to do the glue a little bit on the centre. Okay, so that's the one on the inside. Now, I used our faceted gems on the outside here, and what I found is with the phone in there, let's bring it down a bit, with the phone in here and this going in, that gem in there, that is keeping this from falling right over. At first it was just like leaning right off to the side, but now it's just sitting there. That it feels funny because it's going down and that's soft. Okay, so that's that one. Let's just get my gems. I was thinking about on this one, tried the largest rhinestones, but this has worked so well on here, I'm going to stick with these. What am I doing? I'm using the little ones, aren't I, first? These came in 3 sizes. Okay, so that's the largest one. What I'm using now is the smallest, and I'll use one of the biggest to go inside the big flower. Okay, so that's my gems. Nice bit of sparkle. And then just to finish off, on the reverse side, I don't think I decorated anything, although I did say that I'll think about that. But I've just put my calendar on there. This really is unsettling watching that. I keep going off the screen. I look up here and I'm not off the screen. So I hope I haven't been off screen when I'm thinking that I am, because of that one. I'm going to have to watch this video straight away, I think. Anyway, calendars, I am going to put the link in the box below. I can't see any on here. Oh yes, here they are. I get them on eBay, and it's a seller who goes by the name of Cake Factory, and I know they do international. So if you're not in the UK, they will send them to you. And what I'll do is I will put the name in the box below and also the product number. So if you just type the product number once you get into eBay, it will take you straight to Cake Factory. There we go. Just what I'm going to do is very carefully, because I don't want to move this if I put a lot of Tombow on it, but I am just putting my bone folder inside the box to put some pressure. No, that's still straight, that's right. Okay, so we'll have blue. I forgot blue, lighter blue one here. Let's try that. It's all unwrapped as well. Okay, so that's not too bad, blue. I have my phone and my pen. Okay, so I'm really pleased with that. I hope you like the idea, and I hope you give it a try. I mean, it's fantastic for thank you gifts, for teachers' gifts. If you do craft shows, you're always looking for items to sell. This is a great thing. It's just so many things that it can be used for. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you give it a try. If you've enjoyed my video and you would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button. I believe you have to click on a bell as well if you want to get the notifications. And I will put all the measurements and the products that I've used, as well as the link for the Cake Factory calendars. I'll put everything in the box below the video. And if you've enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up. That's always very much appreciated. And if you'd like to purchase any of the products here, my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop is at www.jambicards.stampinup.net. Love to see you visiting. Many thanks. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.